when you had that long chat with Jonathan Wedger, who's obviously a former Scotland Yard detective, who approached his bosses to try and uncover this sort of what we believe to be an establishment cover-up of child abuse. You talked about Edward Heath, the late Edward Heath, who was Prime Minister from 1970 to 74. You were a witness, I believe.
Yes, I was a witness for Conifer, inquiry.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? I believe you weren't a victim, is that right? But you were a witness.
Well, yes, but what it was that when I left care after 12 to 13 years in care, there was no aftercare given, and I had nowhere to go, and I lived on the streets of London, 62, 63, and we formed a group of runaways. I met at Euston Station, and we used to stick together. And then there was me and John Hilton. We were walking through Grosvenor Square on our way to the Piccadilly arcades, and this car pulled up in Grosvenor Square and asked us if we wanted a lift. So we looked at him and we said, no thank you. And then we used to frequent the Hampstead Heath car parks in Spaniards Inn, and we went up there to try and survive, to try and to do what we had to do to survive, which wasn't nice. I don't mind admitting it. We had to sell our bodies to survive, because if we didn't, we would have died. Because in 62, 63, it was bitter winters, and many a times I just wanted to lay down and die. So anyway, when we went up there at the night time, this car pulled in, and this man got out, and the boys who I was with said, this is Uncle Eddie. So I looked at him, and I thought, I know that face, I know that, I've seen him before. And it was the same man who tried to pick us up in Grosvenor Square, which turned out to be Edward Heath. And he did pick up one of our boys, and we used to have a meeting place. Whenever we got separated, Euston Station waiting room, we used to make that a meeting place where we all went if we got separated. And so we went to Euston Station, we waited, and about an hour later, the boy he picked up, Edward Heath, came in, and he had a musical box as a gift he had given. And we sold that just so we could eat and all that, But I told Wiltshire Police, they asked me when they visited me, did he have a car? And I said, yes, he had a car. Then I think his secretary, Lord something, who was Edward Heath's secretary, he said, Ted Heath never had a car, he couldn't drive, he didn't have a driving licence. So I stuck on Twitter, people were saying to me, like, he couldn't drive, and I just stood my ground. I said he could drive, and he did have a car, and I was proved right.
And what was the name of the lad that Edward Heath picked up, Uncle Teddy picked up?
They don't use their real names, these runaway boys. But the only one I knew, where I heard the thing, only the first name was Tony. But I wouldn't know his surname. I wouldn't even know if that was his real name.
And what did he tell you how much he got paid, or what happened when he was
young? He gave him a musical box.
You didn't pay him. You didn't pay him then.
Well, that was his payment, which in them days musical boxes were worth a lot of money, and we sold it, just to eat and live that day, you know.
What did what was he expected to have done? Did he go back to his Edward Heath's home for an hour, or?
Well, he went with Edward Heath, and it was obvious what he had to do, you know. But we all knew. We never really talked about what we had to do to survive, you know. But we knew what was going on, what we had to do, if that makes sense.
Of course. And did you have any other experiences of Edward Heath, or is that the one that you remember?
Yeah, that's the one I remember. But he was a regular in the car park. He was a regular. And as I said, they called him Uncle Eddie. They knew him. Them boys were on the streets, them runaways, way before me. So they knew everything what was going on, you know. And it was just, I was just lucky that they befriended me, because I wouldn't have survived the streets otherwise. I wouldn't be here now talking.
And how old were you? How old were you at the time?
16.
Yeah, the young lad.
And some of them runaway boys were 12, 11, 14, 13. But they were streetwise. And where I've lived in care right up to the age of 16, they just took me under their wing, you know, and protected me on the streets, because I was nowhere near streetwise. And they kept me alive, to be honest with you. They looked after me and kept me alive. I owe them a lot. I've tried to find them on Twitter, sending messages. Other people's helped me on there, but we can't trace any one of them.
Well, what are they? How old would they be now, do you think?
Oh, well, I'm 72, so they would have been in their 60s or
so you were born
65.
Were you born in 1947?
46, I was born.
You were born in 46.
Yeah.
Do you know their names? Do you know anything about them?
Well, I knew one of them who used to be in Hutton with me. His name was John Hilton. But everyone on Twitter, we tried to find him. I had everyone on Twitter who were trying to find him, but to no avail. We never found one of them boys.
Well, I'll put it on Facebook if you want me to, because you're not on Facebook, are you?
I am on Facebook, but I don't go on it. But
okay.
What it is my daughters do, and you know, it's only recently that they found out about what happened to me, you know, in care and on the streets. But if anyone knows him, I've tried. I am on Facebook, and I've typed in his name, but nothing's come. There are some John Hiltons on there. And where we tried to find him, someone made a load of letters I could send out, and I sent out to all these John Hiltons, and only one replied, and he said, "I'm not the John Hilton you're looking for, but good luck in trying to find him." I never got a reply from any others I sent the letters to, and I just believe that. What happened was, we were in the arcades. We stayed together in the arcades in Piccadilly. Yeah, we stayed together, and then one day we were all in there together. We turned. I turned to see if John was there, and he had gone. He had gone. So we all went looking for him. And he used to live in the Angel, Isleham. So I waited outside the Angel station where we always used to meet for 2 weeks, and he never turned up. And to this day, I've never found him. So, you know, whether he fell in the clutches of the paedophiles or for some reason or other, we've never seen him again. We've never seen him.
One thing I need to check with you is, how did people address you back then? What were you called?
What was my name in my care days?
Well, when you were 16, living out of Euston Station, what did they call you? Your friends?
They called me Jim because I didn't hide who I was.
Jim Reeves.
Well, in them days, I was known as, right through care life, I was known as James O'Connell. But when I left care, and I got my proper birth certificate, and it had my full name. My real name was James Reeves. It wasn't O'Connell at all.
Oh, well, O'Connell is O'Connell, if people wanted to get in touch with you, then they do remember you. It would be James O'Connell then.
Yes, it would be, yeah.
Well, at least we could get that out. Listen, I'll finish it for now. I know it's very difficult to talk about these things.